Spotlight Series, Sam Lee, content creator.
Give us the log line of your life.
The log line of my life. A young man strives to find his voice in the world and fulfill the things he was destined to do.
Describe your aesthetic in 3 words.
My aesthetic in 3 words. Quirky, dope, and fun, lighthearted. That's 4 words.
Who is your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration right now would have to be Donald Glover, simply because of what he's able to do from the start of his career, the different fields that he's branched into. I think what he has done in terms of his flexibility and rediscovering himself is very inspiring, and I think he's in a lot of ways kind of redefined and reshaped what it's like to be an artist in entertainment.
What sparked your interest in acting?
Oh man, it's such a terrible answer. This is such a bad answer, but it all started in high school when I was watching an SNL sketch. It's called Dick in the Box. Justin Timberlake and Adam. Oh my God, what was his name? Adam Sandberg. Andy Samberg. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. And they were in an SNL sketch, and it was so funny. And I think that all kind of snowballed into me wanting to create my own content, into me wanting to create comedy and that kind of humor. And then one thing led to the next. And then before I knew it, I was like, well, I should also act, because if I want to make these, it'll be important to also know how to act. And so I started to really dive into acting and just got really, really into it. I read like 10 books on acting before I ever did a play, before I ever did a short film, just because I'm the type of person to really over prepare like that. And did a play, did a film, and got good feedback from it and really enjoyed the process. So I just went all in on it. Haven't turned back since, looked back since.
What was one of the worst struggle jobs you ever had?
Where do I start? There's so many. One of the worst was being a live streamer for a dating site. And it was really awkward because I have a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend at that time, the same girlfriend. And we were both live streamers on a dating site. And when you're a live streamer on a dating site, it's kind of important to keep up the illusion of being single. And so that was really awkward for our relationship. It was very awkward to just talk to people for like 2 hours at a time. And yeah, it was a struggle because it was very unknown. We were paid under the table by a really sketchy company.
What was the job and or experience that got you in the door?
Job or the experience? I wouldn't say there was a single job or a single experience. I think what really got me in the door was being flexible, being able to understand the whole of what goes into creating short form content or just content in general. I had a lot of experience with shooting. I had a lot of experience with directing and producing my own short content, low budget content. And I also had a very specific niche for just also acting as well. I was really into acting. And I think all of those things contributed to ultimately being able to have the opportunity to become a full-time content creator for Smile Media, which is what I'm working, who I am working for now.
Give us the log line of your career.
Against all odds, a young Asian actor navigates The Winding Paths of Success to Prove His Mother Wrong.
You're multi-talented. How did you decide which avenue in storytelling to focus on the most?
Just passion, instinct, what you felt was right, what I felt was right, and that was that I was most interested in acting. I was most interested in the process of acting, and because I dove into acting, it gave me such a strong sense of storytelling, which led me to branch out to do all of the other things that I have done. And I love the process of everything. Like, I think everything that goes into digital creation of content, regardless if it's a short film, feature film, internet videos, all of that stems, I think, from storytelling, and the core of that for me is acting.
Did you ever have moments when you found yourself creating content to please others instead of what you actually wanted to write?
Yes, I was paid to write a mini-series about corruption in a university in China. And I had to really bend my back, per se, on the narrative and versus what I thought was a better story versus what I think was more compelling, as opposed to what our sponsor, what our investor wanted, which was a washed down PG version of everything me and another writer wanted to do.
As a comedic storyteller, were there ever moments where you had to fight to be taken seriously?
Not yet, but I know it's coming, and I know that it's a real thing, because I'll give you an example. I was on set for a feature film that I was cast in. I was the lead in it, and it was not a comedic film at all. It was a very heartfelt story about me and my brother and my family. And I remember having a conversation with the director and the producer one day on set when we were eating lunch, and they discovered that I had a following. I was on social media, and so they asked me what kind of content I did, and I showed it to them, and I showed them some of my videos, and he looked at me jokingly, I think, hopefully, and he said, "Yeah, if I saw this, I would not have hired you." And I just thought that was the funniest thing and also the scariest thing to hear. So I think since then, I've been a little bit afraid. I've been a little bit insecure, to be completely honest, about the kind of content that I create and the image that I create for myself. But also at the end of the day, I really think that if I wanted to pursue other things and my heart's in there and I'm focused on it, we're flexible. Human beings are flexible. We're all flexible. We could dive into different avenues if we wanted to. You know, no one should ever put anyone in a box. And so I think that it hasn't bothered me yet, but it's coming and I'm ready for it.
As a writer, how do you know when to put the pen down? I guess when you have the general idea fleshed out. I feel like when you get to a point where you have it out there, it's on a piece of paper, and you remember it. It doesn't have to be detailed, but if you just remember the concept, the feeling that you felt in that moment of writing that piece, whatever it may be, that's when you can stop and you can go back to it. But as long as it's out there and you find a way to really hold on to that feeling, that initial trigger that got you to write it, then pen down, go back to it later. How do you describe your transition from aspiring to professional and the new access that came with it?
The experience was smooth. It was almost unnoticeable because as you know, we are in a pandemic and there's not been a lot of social interactions. So it was just work. There wasn't anything that I really noticed besides just being able to have money. I guess that's the most noticeable thing. Because before I just wasn't making money, and now I'm making a living doing it. So I guess it's nice because I get to really focus on it. But see, I feel like I come from a very specific scenario where I was in college and I was in college for film school. So I was already doing that like full time. It wasn't really like a passion thing. It was like part of the curriculum. It was part of my college experience. And so I feel like I'm one of those few lucky people to have found a really smooth transition even through that. And I've never really had to, besides that one struggle job that I mentioned earlier, I didn't really have another struggle job. I was unemployed, which wasn't good. I was living with my parents, but yeah, I didn't really feel that strong, I guess, transition.
How do you know when you've made it?
When there's a paycheck, that's the objective answer. When there's a paycheck, I feel like that's a good sign. But I don't know. Because I feel like maybe I haven't quite made it yet. So I'm still trying to discover that myself. But I think that when you are able to wake up and have the comfort of just spending your day focusing on that one thing that you really love to do, then you've made it. Because a lot of people don't even have that. A lot of people wake up and they're doing things they don't want to do and grinding nights or weekends or free time doing the thing they want to do.
How did your expectation as a young storyteller differ from the reality that you were faced with?
I think the expectation that I had when I first wanted to do this and work in entertainment was to be super niche, was to be really specific, like just do one thing. I think a lot of voices around me told me to really focus on one thing. And looking back at it, yeah, I guess that's important. But it's just don't force it. I would say just don't force it, because the reality for me was that I found success through being really involved in the whole process, being really involved in everything. And I think what led me to the success that I have found now is having that flexibility and being open to exploring and trying new things.
What advice would you give for young storytellers who are looking to start a job in this industry?
Yes, the advice that I, Sam Lee, would give to you is to explore all the different avenues of media that you want to do. Figure it out. You know, there's so many different kinds of jobs involved, and it's important to know what you like. It's important to know if you want to be on the storytelling side of it, or if you're more of a technical person and you really like to explore cameras and equipment and lighting design and all of these things, or you know, even if you're into fashion and you really want to try doing wardrobe stuff. You know, you might start off wanting to direct, you might start off wanting to act, you might start off wanting to do these different things, and you really find your niche somewhere else. I mean, it's crazy for me because I think I'm finding my niche in social media, and that was something I never thought I would do. I thought that I would always want to be a very traditional actor. You know, I think just a few years ago, I was like, I don't even need social media. It's a distraction, you know, and I think I've just kept my eyes and ears open. I've never really tried tuning one thing out. I've always been really open-minded about a lot of different things. I've observed, you know, the way the world was kind of turning and shifting, and I think there is so much potential in just keeping your eyes and ears open to what direction the world is going to, and paying attention to that and exploring.
What were some necessary lows that you experienced that made you a better storyteller because of it?
I think failure and drought and just failure. I think that's so important to success because one, it primes you for being able to do the same thing over and over and over again without any results, because that, I think, is what's going to lead you to actually finding success, is doing things over and over and over again without any result. I've done that many, many times. As an actor, I've gone into so many rooms, so many casting rooms, and thought I killed it, thought I did great, and just crickets, nothing. And I think it makes everything in life less painful when you can come and accept that.
Give us the log line of your future.
The log line of my future. In 2021, a relatively unknown content creator takes the world by storm on the main stage of Hollywood, and despite all the odds stacked against him, he navigates his way into success.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That did not quite go the way that I had planned it for the last